it's me, Percita, and this is Percita's Paradox. If you're a new subscriber, thank you so much for giving me your time. I greatly appreciate it. And if you are what I like to call my OG fam that's been with me for the last couple months to couple years to just last video, I thank you so much for joining me. As usual, here we are. We're talking on Tuesday. We are coming off an unbelievably crazy week last week. That's pretty much all I'd have to say about that. But I would like to start our thought pattern out on just releasing the energy and allowing ourselves to move through it as effectively as possible. So first, we take a nice deep breath, we release, and now we get to work. So on this Tuesday, we really have to talk about smartening up. And what I mean by smartening up is simply getting your life, get your life together. Really utilize the fact that you are smarter than you really want to acknowledge sometimes. I mean, we tend to just pretend that we don't see things and we don't know things and we don't understand things. But the truth is we do. We absolutely do. And sometimes we do it because we just don't want to deal with whatever the ramifications are for someone else's emotions or the relational disdainment that could possibly occur. It could even be some positive, but my point is that we just do not do what we need to do in regards to the communication and just smartening up. So my question to you today is, are you willing to smarten up? Are you willing to utilize all the effort and time and education and experience that you have acquired over the years that you tend to just ignore simply because you don't want the fight? You're not willing to put in whatever the extra work would be or whatever the extra push in that life would be. And I'm just hoping going forward, starting off what we would hope to be a new year, but I don't know about that in regards to just the environment, but I would say you still want to start your newness, right? With the identity of you are so much smarter than you want to let on. You're very aware of what's going on in your life and other people's lives in the world, and you just sit there numb, trying your best to not do the work that it would take to get what it is that you want, be it whatever. I mean, be it anything. Are you smartening up or are you simply just being stagnant? I mean, we talked about newness. We discussed how we are having our 3-month goal and what we want to accomplish and how we can change that up. But then I really started talking to some people after, and I realized that it's not a position of you not knowing what your newness is. It's not even a position of you not having the desire to do it. It's a position of you not being willing to do it. And I used to talk about this. I talked about it a lot when I first started this channel, being willing and able. I was with a girlfriend. We actually were at her church, and it was funny because the pastor kept talking about being willing and able, or able and willing, and which one were you, which combination thereof you were. And we laughed at, just what that actually meant. And she had her input on what it is that she would be doing and vice versa, or I should say, and I also had mine. And I realized that is really an issue. You really can be aware of what's going on and just refuse to do anything about it. But here's the crazy part. You're continuously still telling yourself that you want something new. So then you think about the newness video we talked about last week, and you give me all these great scenarios on what you're going to actually change, and you change nothing, not because you're not able. You don't change it because you're not willing. And the irony is that you would know if you were smartening up and continuously sharpening your mind to know that you have to change. You have to be willing to be honest. You have to be willing to look yourself in the face and stop playing this energy game of things are just going to work out. Or my favorite, I'm going to just let the chips fall where they may. I mean, I know things are crazy, but I don't want to say nothing because, that's just going to piss off so-and-so, or, it's just going to make the situation worse. How would it make it worse? I'm really interested to know, how would it make it worse if your outcome has never been what it is you want? Or are you just the type of person who continues to look at your past and you won't really look forward because it's so much more complicated to actually create something new instead of being fearful for what happened in your past? Talked about that also. And I'm just overly amazed at how we can look at something that happened so traumatic, yet the our country's capital and say, but what is going on? Like, why would that be where we are in life? And it's just because even those people aren't willing to smarten up. Life is not about tantrums. Life is not about not getting your way and being upset about it. And in the exact same breath, if you want something, you can go and get it, which I'm sure was their analogy. But if you really catch where I'm going with that conversation, you still have to be within parameters that would actually make sense, that don't inclusively include everyone else's misery. So when you're willing to change you, changing you will then change other people. But you don't need to force other people to want to be a part of your change. You can just simply change yourself and smarten up yourself. What I've noticed is that when I am in my best state of mind, when I'm in my most pleasurable place in my spirit, in my heart, in my intentions, whatever you want to call it, I don't get anything back but positive. I've never gotten back negative when I'm in that kind of positive. Now, someone say, well, that's you, Percita. Good for you. Good for me. You're absolutely right. But I challenge you to resonate in that. To resonate in, I don't have any time to be worrying about what other people are doing. If I take 6 months out of the year to figure out what it is that I want, and the other 6 months to execute what it is that I've discovered that I want, you don't have any time to really worry about anybody else. And I don't mean in the sense of not being emotionally attached or emotionally aware of what other people are going through and praying for people or helping people. What I mean is stepping out of your judgmental place and being in a smart place to fix yourself so that you can execute. I used to get upset with people a lot because I felt like, you know what, that's crazy. You're doing this, you're doing that. And it's so hurtful, until I started to really pay attention to the people that I was making that statement about. They're not happy people. They're not happy people with themselves. So it's very hard to gauge anything going on in your life when your starting point is off, when you're not aware of where you are moving and going, what your sustainability will be. It's pretty much why we're having such a hard time with this whole pandemic and nothing really being solid or what we would like to call normal. It's simply because it's just topsy-turvy. There's just no way for you to really figure it out. I realize the more I deal with people and the more that I can see past their action and actually look at the person for what the person is or what they've gone through or where they are or what their circumstances are, it's hard to get mad at people these days. For me, it is extremely hard to get mad at people. And I don't know if that is just a newfound spiritual place that I have now manifested to be in, but I just can't seem to just find myself being in this angry place of like, whoa, is me, and these people are trying to mess me over, and da-da-da-da-da. And I used to be there, and I could resonate there, and I could live there, and I can really be upset. And I have been really upset with a lot of people. But I promise you, I'm just smartening up and understanding like it's not really that deep anymore to make it where it's about me or where the person's intent is simply to hurt me. When I am in that space, I find that my environment changes. The people who want to be around me changes. You don't really want to be around me if you're not in a place of really smartening up and loving on yourself and doing for yourself and being real with yourself. There's just something about me that rubs people the absolute wrong way. And I know that sounds funny, but I'm just being honest. I've noticed in the last few months that it's gotten stronger. And I think it's because I've had the opportunity to really sit within myself and really hone in on it. And I'll also say that I've noticed the people who haven't been able to do it. No judgment. Again, not my place. It's just not the person's priority. And it just so happens to be mine. So what I'm trying to get at you is that if you're smartening up, the newness comes, the change comes, and it doesn't feel quite so overwhelming because it happens every day. It really happens every day. If you're waking up in the morning and you're not running to social media and you're taking the time to really get to know what your day is, hey, even if you take the time the night before to plan out what it is that you're going to do, I've allocated that into my life over the last couple of years. And instead of me waking up trying to figure out what I want to do, I literally plan out some things that I know that I need to do, and I put them in categories A, B, and C. A is the money. A is the goal, not meaning physically money, but things that I know I have to make priority. That then gives me, when I wake up, the ability to isolate my mind to figure out. And when I wake up, that's how I think about it. Some people use that, some people don't. Some people literally get into a place where they exercise early in the morning, and that gets you going. I don't know what it is. I really am not telling you anything more than find out what it is. Communicate with yourself. Have you actually sat down and just asked yourself, like, what is it that I enjoy? Where do I really want to be? Not what people think you should be doing, or not the image that you've pretended to have, or the happiness that you've pretended to have, but truthfully, when you're by yourself, when you're in your own space, when you're in this place that's called bored in typical mindsets, which if you're in a smartening up place, you really don't have any time to be bored. It might sound crazy, but you're always in a space of movement, even if it's just a spiritual gratitude place of movement, that you really don't have the time to be bored. Sounds crazy, but I'm asking, what do you think about when you're there? How does your mind work? How much of your thoughts are caused by what you want to call your defeats? How much of that do you meditate on in your boredom? Who do you call? What's the conversation? What do you linger back to? What do you do? Do you eat? Do you shop? We call it retail therapy. What do you actually do? When you're done with all of that, what are the ramifications behind what you did? Did you spend too much money? Did you cause yourself to go into a deeper depression? What is it that actually happens? And if you pay attention to those things, you're smartening up. If you pay attention to those things and then don't keep repeating them, if they're giving you a negative outcome, then you're smartening up. And what I'm hoping today is that you flipping smarten up. Make better decisions. Stop and think about things before you just open your mouth, or before you make a judgment call. Hell, even when you're scrolling on Instagram, not everything needs to be responded to. Not every video or post needs your 2 cents. And when you're smartening up, you start to recognize, like, it's not really about you jumping off with an opinion. Sometimes it's just smarter to just pray for the person or keep it pushing. And it's no longer a thing of if it's positive or negative, because I realize that even that grows tricky, because sometimes you'll think something is positive and it's not positive at all. It's not positive at all. But you feel as if because it's truth, you can put it out, and, facts and, all the other stuff that we like to say, I can't even think of what the word is that my daughter was saying. I guess there's no cap. I think that one's old. But anyway, my point is that you don't need to have an opinion about everything, and you don't need to pretend like everything is positive either. Which is why I'm saying sometimes just to be quiet is such a better angle than to try to do anything other than that, because the phoniness comes through. If you don't really mean it, you think that it's coming off genuine, but it typically is not. So smartening up gets you to a place of just this authentic thing that I'm always talking about, because the authenticity is really what life is about right now. That's really what it is. We're stuck in a position of really looking at people's authenticness. When you look at the craziness that has happened last week, that's what you start to see. The authenticness of what people are, not what they claim to be, not the job they hold, not who they've married, none of that. Not if they're in interracial relationships, non-interrelation relationships. We just start to understand that no one really has ever been honest about anything. Everything has a spin. Everything has some angle of trying to get over on someone. And I'm just hoping today that we smarten up and we understand that getting over on anybody is not the goal. The goal is to be prepared. The goal is if someone's trying to hurt you, to be aware of it and simply move away. If you have to attack, you have to attack. I understand that. If it's war, it's war. And trust me, in war, it is war for me. Okay? But in the exact same breath, I don't feel like I need to seek out everything in a war tactic before I actually sit down and analyze what exactly is going on, and are my feelings into play? Am I just in my ego, and what exactly is actually happening? What's the circumstances? Looking at all of the parameters instead of just reacting. Smartening up. Smartening up, smart up. Get your life, figure it out. But everyone that is on this video and you are of age, that you are living by yourself, and if you're looking for a relationship or you're in a relationship, have kids, don't have kids, if you're in a position where you're calling yourself grown, I'm talking to you. Smarten up. You deserve whatever it is that you are seeking, that you're still not being willing to sacrifice to do. And sacrifice can be positive or negative, but whatever it is a requirement that you must be willing to do. You must be willing to be in a position where you continuously fight yourself to stop doing anything other than progressive things for you that will bring the energy, the people, the money, the status, the opportunity, whatever it is you want to say back to you. We use all of that and we put it under be positive. But we all know being positive 24 hours a day is impossible. It is not possible. So clearly being positive could not be the only thing that you need to do to smarten up. It's a belief. It's a hope. It's a balance and understanding when you're feeling like things aren't coming your way, to recall and think of the things that you went through, but in the exact same breath, it's a position of going, I am going to get what I want because I'm going to be fearless about it. So it's a balance. And I'm really hoping that today you get there. Man, am I hoping that you get there. I want it for our country. I want it for my people. I want it for your people. I want it for everybody as a whole. But it's going to take the effort from everyone to get it going. Okay, so that's my rant. I am absolutely telling you that I believe it. And I might be crazy to believe it, but I believe that it can happen. And I believe that if we stop playing delirious and we stop acting as if we are not as smart as we are, we can get there. We can absolutely get there. And no, we're not going to love each other necessarily in the process, because love is not going to get us there. The simple analogy of using the mindset of understanding is going to get us there, in my opinion. You challenge it? Hit me in the comments below. As usual, thank you so much for joining me. I swear this is just like a fantastic scenario. I'm loving bringing out videos. I'm loving giving you content. If you are enjoying it, make sure that you hit the notification button. And of course, make sure you share and subscribe. Don't get shy in the comments. You guys have been awesome. I greatly appreciate all of your effort, but you know how I am. If it's still good for you to hit it in a private chat or hit me in an email, I am all about that life, because this channel is for you. A little bit for me and a lot of bit for me, but mostly for you. Okay? So thank you so much again for joining me. I'll see you on Thursday. As always, remember to do 3 things. Live life authentic. Thank you so much, and I'll see you Thursday. Bye-bye.